Peace, love, knowledge, and freedom, and welcome to another episode of the Just Seen podcast. Today, we're going to be talking about surrendering. Surrendering is a very important topic to understand and master if you want to manifest certain shit in your life. And it's in surrendering that you're able to not give up. You're able to receive all that you want, all that you desire. But there's stipulations to surrendering. It's deeper than just giving up certain things. It's just giving up yourself and just saying, hey, I allow this. But I'm going to discuss everything within that because I've noticed that I see a lot of people, they were like, well, I'm surrendering the spirit. I'm doing this. I'm surrendering to God, Allah, Jehovah, Yeshua. What are the names? God, Allah, Jehovah, Yeshua, Jesus, Yahweh, Krishna, Buddha, all of them, whatever it is that, you fuck with, the universe. But when we say we surrendering to that energy, that essence, we kind of miss a gap. We miss a step a lot of times. And I noticed that, people will say, well, that just wasn't for me, or, and it's like, no, everything that you want to be for you is for you. There's just from my own personal experience, there's no specific thing that is like, okay, only this is mine. And, even if I really want it, if it doesn't come to me, then it wasn't for me. Now, it was for you. You didn't surrender the right way. You surrendered, but you didn't surrender the right way. And I'm going to go over what surrendering really is, how to, truly surrender, and the capacity behind surrendering. Am I right? I don't know. Am I wrong? I don't know. I just get the message and I got to deliver the shit. You feel me? So I want y'all to kick back, relax, enjoy. And we're going to dive into surrendering. But, before I get started, as always, be sure to follow me on Instagram at _just_seen_. Be sure to follow the podcast at the Just Seen Podcast. Be sure to follow the merchandise at Just Seen's Merch. And I just released a new design. If you read my book, So Frail 2, or you probably heard me say it on the podcast or two, respect is to men what love is to women. I just released that design. I changed it up a little bit because to see it just didn't work. So the actual design now was respect is to him as love is to her. And it's kind of a dope play on the full sentence, because then I have respect him and love her in the same capacity. So, it's love him and respect her to show the cross between the polarities and shit. But, Just Seen's Merch. If you're trying to transition to the plant-based lifestyle, go to the 90-day vegan course, on Instagram as well. I do accept donations and tips, as well as sponsorships, and all that can be found in the description of your podcast. You either see my PayPal or my Cash App. I accept both. What else? Oh, I'm still getting used to this part. Mastering the market. If you're looking to learn how to trade, day trade, invest better with the stocks, Forex, commodities, options, futures, all of that. I give the insight on how to understand and read the markets. That's about it. So we're going to take a quick break. And then when we come back, we're going to hop straight into surrendering, allowing the universe to work for you. Oh yeah, and don't forget to visit IamJustSeen.com. There you can get all things Just Seen. You want to add the So Frail series to your library? Visit IamJustSeen.com. You want to learn how to master the market for serious trading and investing? Visit IamJustSeen.com. You want to get your hands on some exclusive merch like tees, hoodies, coffee mugs, hats, bags? Visit IamJustSeen.com. Are you thinking about transitioning into the plant-based lifestyle? Visit IamJustSeen.com. You ever want to just chat with Seen about anything from simple advice to mentorship? Visit IamJustSeen.com. Anything and everything that is me, you can find at IamJustSeen.com. So just take a quick peek into my world and see why being just seen is nothing less but always more. Because you never really know what you need until you see it. You will never see it unless you visit IamJustSeen.com. All right, welcome back. So, we'll get straight into it. As always, I'm gonna go ahead and define what I mean by surrender, so we're on the same page when I go forward. Excuse me, on the same page when I go forward. So, to surrender, as we all know, is to, in a sense, throwing a white flag. It's to give up your position in something, and as they say, let go and let God. Like, you're letting go of your control over something, or your attempt to try to control something, and you're allowing the universe to do what it does, right? So surrendering is a very, very powerful connecting piece into manifestation, right? You have to, you have to give up and know that I don't have control over the situation. I don't have control over the full dynamic of it, but you have control over a specific aspect. And that's what I'm going to mainly be peeling back here today. But surrendering, for the most part, is connected to our manifestations. When we want to bring things into this world, when we want to transform our own lives, we have to surrender to some things. There are some things that we have to surrender. It's the song I bump frequently by Bone Thugs. It came out in '99, I believe. It's called Can't Give Up. And the hook is, there's always something you got to give up to get everything you want. This is not on no sell your soul type shit or anything like that. Like, no, I'm not even on that type time. Y'all know how I get down. But there's a very important message in just that hook. There's always something you got to give up to get everything you want. You feel what I'm saying? Which is surrendering. You have to surrender to a process. You have to surrender to something greater than yourself. You have to surrender to something that's outside of your scope of control. You dig what I mean? And that's what the quintessential piece is. But before we can do that, we have to understand that what we consider surrendering is an illusion. You feel me? It is an illusory thing. And that's because we're not really taught the full gamut of what surrendering really is. We're only taught to give up. So that's why it's like, I always talk about studying words and knowing them and knowing the definition too, like, and the association to what it represents. Like, when we surrender, we think, okay, give up, quit, throw in the white flag, throw in the towel, whatever it is. I surrender. I can't do anymore. You feel what I'm saying? Which is a very important piece in that. But we have to now add the component in. We can't allow the surrender to be connected to a defeat. You can't allow surrender to be connected to a defeated mindset, because when you do that, you lose. Okay? Let me say that again. If you surrender under a defeated mindset, you've lost. Therefore, your manifestations will be what? You losing. Okay? So you have to surrender under the premise, and it's hard to do this a lot of times when you aren't attuned to that, because your association with certain words, your association with certain expressions have a subconscious and unconscious reality to them, and your body and your physical form, your physical essence will manifest what your subconscious and unconscious mind hold. So if you hold the association that when you surrender, you are defeated, and when you hold the connection that when you defeated, you lost, your surrendering will cause your manifestations to be losses. You will lose. You feel what I mean? And a lot of times that's how the illusion plays out. I've heard it a lot, especially within the recent months. And this is no slight to anybody who's told this to me, but this is just the expression. Like, they're like, oh, you got to surrender. You got to surrender. And there will be moments I'm like, I can't just, like, there's nothing, I can't surrender yet. And I'll explain why I couldn't surrender. But it's like, I reached those points of like, I can't surrender yet. It's not the point to surrender, because there's certain things that I have not done myself that allows me to surrender. Because if I surrender now, I am admitting defeat. And by admitting defeat, my manifestation will be losses. And this is me speaking from the experience of actually surrendering without having the necessary steps done in order for the manifestation to come in as a win. You feel what I mean? I had surrendered at a loss. You feel what I'm saying? You never surrender when you're losing. I know that seems kind of ironic. It's like, why would there's no point in me surrendering if I'm winning. That's the point. You surrender when your manifestation or the work that you're putting in is at a win. It's not at a deficit. It's not at a loss. Therefore, that manifestation is going to come in as a win because you surrendered in a winning space, if that makes sense. You follow me? So that's how the illusion plays out. And in that illusion, this is why surrendering fails. You feel what I'm saying? This is why surrendering fails to us, because we, like I said, we give up and we surrender at the wrong time. You feel what I'm saying? We surrender when we haven't done all the work. We surrender when we haven't done the full process. And we surrender when, our mentality is, I can't do anymore. I'm not winning, so I give up. No. This is, when it comes to manifestations and surrendering to your higher source, your higher power, you have to surrender when you're winning. You feel what I'm saying? And then that puts the winning in autopilot. You dig what I mean? So, but before that, you have to be winning. So your part, your work, the shit that you got to actually do to make the surrender transition into a manifestation, you have to surrender at the positive. You have to surrender after you've done all you can, and that is another point, because, who is it? What's the Donnie McClurkin? He got a song that says, after you've done all you can, you stand, or whatever the case may be. But people say they connect that to surrendering. After I've done all I can't do anymore. That's when I surrender. Now you can do more, and we need to change that from I've done all that I can to I've done all that is necessary for me to surrender. See, that's a whole different dynamic that changes the thought process behind it. You have to ask yourself, in the times when you surrendered, did you do all you can, or did you do all that was necessary for you to surrender? Right? Because doing all you can means that you've done enough for your internal feeling of, I can't win at this point, whatever the case may be. But when you've done all that is necessary, you have to keep pushing in order to make that surrendering a viable stance for you. Otherwise, you're going to put yourself at a loss, because you're surrendering in a defeated mentality. You're surrendering at a point of defeat. So your manifestation has to be defeat. Your manifestation is going to be loss. You're going to lose. You feel what I'm saying? This is not like, I'm trying to be on some mystical mumbo jumbo type shit, but this is reality. I know from my own experience and from the people that I've experienced, and I've watched the connection of, I surrendered, and they surrendered at the point where they quit. And then it's like, nothing happened for me. And then that's when they run the interference and they say, well, it wasn't for me. What's for me, I ain't got to work on, blah, 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 blah. That shit's annoying to me, and I hate hearing that shit. What's for you, you have to work for. What's for you is not going to come easy for you. You feel what I'm saying? What's for you requires intense action, detailed orientation to reality, and putting in that motherfucking work. Then you can surrender. Right? But again, like I'm saying, that's why it fails, because we surrender after we've done all we could, or when we surrendered when we've done what we feel is all we can, but we didn't surrender when we've done all that was necessary. Now, all that's necessary can be way greater than all that you can. You feel what I mean? It pushes your motherfucking ass. You are pushed. You are pushed to learn. You are pushed to study. You are pushed to teach. You are pushed to grow. You're supposed to put so many different things into the pot in order to surrender correctly. You feel what I'm saying? Perfect example of that is the Trojan horse. You feel what I'm saying? Do I fuck with the genocidal tactics of it all and how they slaughtered all of the people? No, but they surrendered at a win. They didn't surrender at a loss. They surrendered, right? And what did they do with the Trojan horse? They put soldiers into the horse, and then they surrendered. They've done all that they could to secure their win. Then they surrendered. And then when they went in, the people went to sleep. They was like, oh, this is a offering. We beat them. They surrendered, blah, blah, blah. They quit. They gave up. But they quit when they were at the win. And you didn't know that they didn't. Nobody knew they were at the win, because surrender's tied to defeat. So it was a ruse, don't get me wrong. It was a ruse. And the people was like, and then even in watching, and studying it, was it the Prince Paris or some shit? Pericles? I don't know. It's one of the motherfuckers. I can't think of his exact name. But the motherfucker was like, look, y'all, don't take that horse. It's a setup. It's not a setup. They got their ass whooped. They surrendered. They quit. They give up. They threw in a white flag. But they threw in a white flag when they was ready to take that manifestation into a win. So what happens? The people, they brought in a horse. They got drunk, they partied and everything. They passed the fuck out and the motherfuckers sacked the whole city. You feel what I'm saying? They surrendered at the win, right? That's how surrendering works. When you're surrendering your spirit, like you got to think of it like a Trojan horse example. You have to put yourself in a position where you're going to win once you surrender. You feel what I mean? And then you let the universe, you let the manifestation occur because now you have done all of the necessary work. You feel what I'm saying? So the bulk of this is how surrendering plays out with you doing your motherfucking part. That's the hard part. Your part is not to give up. Your part is not to quit and just say, hey, universe, I need you to do everything. I need you to do everything for me. Because when you surrender, I'm going to show you how you know when your manifestation is ready. Because when you so-called surrender, you're going to have to keep being told to do shit. And you don't even know it. Like, you're like, why do I got to do this? Why do I got to do that? Like, there's things that are going to be like, hey, look, this came up. But if your surrender is in defeat, you're like, okay, I don't need to do that because Spirit isn't telling me to do that. Or the universe isn't telling me to do that because it should be something that's easy for me. No. Your part before you can surrender is to secure your motherfucking win. That Trojan horse metaphor was perfect for this shit. You have to secure your motherfucking win before you surrender. So even sticking with that, they were willing to keep fighting. Agamemnon and them were able like, yo, you cannot sack Troy. Man, fuck that. He said, I could take Troy down. I just got to figure out how. They was like, yo, just give up, retreat. We can't. He says, no, I'm not giving up until I beat these motherfuckers, yo. Like, but I got to figure out how to beat these motherfuckers, right? I got the strongest army. I got the strongest fighters. He had Achilles in there and everything. So I got the strongest fighter, but I'm still not ready to win yet. I am not ready to win. So I can't give up. I am not in a winning position yet, so I can't give up, right? So what he did, like I said, what he did was he came into the horse and said, yo, we put soldiers in this motherfucking horse and then we give it to him and then we say we give up. So what's going to happen is when we're inside the city, he's like, we can't get in. That's what's keeping us from fucking him up. We can't get in. So we have to figure out a way in first before we give up, before we quote unquote surrender. You feel what I'm saying? So again, that goes back into what I'm saying. Your part cannot be from a defeated perspective. You cannot associate surrender with defeat. You have to associate surrender with victory. You have to surrender to the universe. You have to surrender to your higher power when you're in a victory. That's the only way your manifestation is going to be victorious. You feel what I'm saying? So you have to ask, like, what is your part? What is your part in that? Your part is not to give up and let universe do it, because they're going to do with everything that you put into the pot. You feel what I'm saying? They're going to do with whatever you put into the horse to go into okay, well, all right. You want to be a millionaire, but you only put $1,000 worth of effort in. You feel me? You want millionaire manifestations, but you put 1,000 there. I ain't even gonna say 1,000 there. You put 100 there, work in, and you surrendered. Guess what you're going to get back? You feel me? So our surrendering point and the point in which we say, okay, you know what, universe, now you got the rest. It has to be when we already secured the win. You know, this brings light to the whole phrase, God helps those who help themselves. You know, I was young and I could never get that. I got my own beliefs, but I can see a lesson in everything, whether I fuck with it or not. But that was a powerful point. But when I could never get it when I was younger. I was like, if he helps those who helps themselves, why the fuck do I need his help? I just do it myself. And what came back is the surrendering point. You feel me? What finally came to me was surrendering, because it's like, but it's surrendering at the win. Because there's outside forces that you just can't fuck with. There's shit that has to be orchestrated, strings that have to be pulled in the background. But you have to be in a position to where all of the work that you put in, the universe has no choice but to honor it. You feel what I'm saying? The universe has no choice but to honor it. And that's where we get lost in the shit. Because we've gotten so entitled. We've developed this whole entitled mentality that we can't put the extra effort in to ensure the title. You feel what I mean? So we think it's arrogance. It's arrogance, but like, okay, I just go with the flow. You can't just go with the flow. You got to build a boat to be in the flow. You ain't even built the fucking boat yet. You think you're just going to hop in the water and fly on these rapids. No, you're going to fucking drown. Your head is going to smash up against bricks and shit. I mean, not bricks, but like rocks and shit along the way. You can fall off of the waterfall on the other side. You got to factor this shit in. And then you surrender and say, okay, now I've done all that was necessary. Not all that I can. You feel me? And that comes into potential kinetic energy type shit. But we operate from the potential. Oh shit, this is all that I can do. So this is all that I will do. And I want manifestations that require me to be a lot more hands-on than I am. I have to be a lot more I have to do a lot more, and a lot more is necessary for me to actually get what I want, And so we don't, it's levels to the shit. And we don't want to operate through the levels before we relinquish that control. Before we say, all right, universe, I've done all that I can. I got to stop saying can. It's just closer, but it's just so automatic. But like, I've done all that's necessary. And you've literally done all that's necessary, And again, that's what I'm saying. We blur the lines. We think all that we can is all that is necessary. Nah, it's not. Sometimes all that you can isn't even the tip of the iceberg. You dig what I mean? It's not even the tip of the iceberg. There's a lot of work that has to go into that shit to make it stick, to make it work. You have to do what is necessary in order to surrender. You feel what I'm saying? Then you can come to the universe with your libations, with your offerings and shit like that, because that's when it's going to say, okay, I'll clear the path. I'll do it. But then it's like, you'll come to your altar. You'll come to whatever it is. You'll pray. You ask for deliverance out of whatever situation. And then you'll be drawn back to situations that strengthen you. And you'll be like, why am I going through this? Because you didn't do all that was necessary. I need you to do this part too. And this, and this, and this. You can't ask me to do something or want me to do for you when you haven't even done for self. You feel what I'm saying? So it's like, it creates a paradox where you're like, well, I don't need help from the universe. Then if I'm doing everything, oh, no, you're going to need that fuel. You feel what I'm saying? You're going to need that push. But see, the thing about it's like, you create your vehicle. You create your vehicle. You dig what I mean? So we want Maserati type manifestations, but we trying to build a bicycle. You're going to get a fucking bicycle. You feel me? Now, depending on if you've done what was necessary even for that bicycle, are you going to get a Schwinn? You going to get a Huffy? You going to get some pegs on your shit? Like, what are you going to, like, what is needed? What is needed for your manifestation to enter this world? Because that's what's necessary for you to bring it in. You feel me? It's not just a snap of the fingers. It's like, that's wishful thinking at that point. If you have not done any of the necessary work for you to surrender, you're a wishful thinker. That's not optimism. That's wishful thinking. And that is a blurred line. That is a very blurred line. People be like, I've had a homie ask me, she was like, how can you always see the good in anything? Why? Because I put in the work to make sure I see the good. Like, failure is not an option because I don't set shit up to fail. You feel what I'm saying? Like, that's like, we utter so many affirmations, then they're so fucking positive, but we don't understand the energy that has to go into that affirmation. The energy that, like, when you tell yourself failure is not an option, why is it not an option? Because I secured the win. It's not just, I'm going to say failure is not an option because it's going to be motivation for me. It can't, nothing can motivate you without the fuel and the energy necessary to bring that into reality. You feel me? There's no motivation there. You can affirm whatever the fuck you want to affirm, but the affirmation sends you back to saying, okay, look, you need to do what's necessary. So that's why I'm like, when we do shit, we'll be like, okay, I'm gonna give libation to my ancestors. I'm gonna pray to the angels. I'm gonna do all of this. And then we're like, but nothing happened. But there was this nagging feeling that I need to go back and, yes, tighten that shit up. Like, we're not bringing nothing into reality if you're not doing your part. And then if you stuck and say, okay, well, this is all I'm doing, because this is all I can do. Okay, this is all we can do with what you gave us. Don't be mad. Don't be mad, except that this is your manifestation and this is what you have to surrender to. So when you surrender, they're like, you sure? All right, submit, bro. This is what it is. We'll see what comes out of this. We're going to work with what you gave us. And then when you start to see, oh, why is this person flourishing more than me? Okay, well, it just must not be for me. This ain't my thing. So now, rather than going back in and then doing what's necessary, we change our whole plan. We be like, all right, this ain't for me. So fuck it. I got to figure something else out. And then we spend life trying to figure shit out as opposed to dealing with what we have right in front of us. You dig what I'm saying? We we alter our path. It's like, no, stop altering your path and alter this shit. Like, you feel me? Put in the work that's necessary. But that extra hump, that extra book you got to read, that extra day at work you gotta put in, that fucked up employee that you got, that fucked up manager that you got. You know what I'm saying? We don't realize what the fuck we're asking for when we want certain shit. You feel what I mean? We don't realize what it is that we're asking for. And in asking for that shit, we think it's just supposed to be given to us. Because I'm chosen. I got favor over my life. You know why you got favor? You know, favor, motherfuckers say that bullshit and it gets on my nerves because that's a very arrogant statement. Favor ain't fair. Favor ain't fair. But do you know how you receive favors? You receive favors from doing necessary shit and putting in motherfucking work. Don't nobody want to do a favor for somebody if it's not profitable to them. I'm not just talking about monetarily. Think about anybody who's ever done a favor for you. What place do you hold in their life? They said, okay, I will do this favor for you because you have put in the necessary work for me to do favors for you. But then now, that's where it also becomes problematic because sometimes we do favors for motherfuckers who haven't done anything necessary to receive a favor. And so by doing that, we now internalize that. If we're created in the image of, whatever it is that we serving, we're going to internalize that the same way. Oh, you're just supposed to give to me and I don't have to put in the work because I gave to motherfuckers who didn't put in the work. I did favors for niggas who didn't put in the work. You feel me? So you do a favor for me without me putting in the work. That was your fault. You did that shit. You did that favor without the necessary requirements. You did that solid without the necessary requirements. That's on you. But the universe don't give a fuck about that shit. It's not going to say, oh, you did this, I'm going to give you the abundance just because. No. You got to put in the motherfucking work. You got to do what's necessary for me to do a favor for you. So yes, favor ain't fair. And the reason why favor ain't fair is because the necessary work was done. Motherfuckers don't realize how much they have to put in to get favor. You dig what I'm saying? Like, you feel me? Like, to get to a point of automation in life. Like, that's the goal of entrepreneurship. I don't want to work for nobody. But in addition to that, I don't want to work hard. So I'm going to work hard in this particular pocket of time. 3 years, 5 years, whatever the case may be, so I can put shit on automation. Motherfuckers see the automation and don't even see what the fuck was necessary to put in. You feel me? Motherfuckers be jealous of some shit they ain't even built for and don't even get it. You feel what I'm saying? So you ask, why did this happen to this person? And you go into that person's life and you're like, oh, I can't do that shit. I know. You couldn't walk a mile in my shoes. You couldn't even put the socks on. And vice versa. You can see from that, you got to see like a person's winning and you just thinking from a surface because they make shit look easy. This shit ain't easy. They shit ain't easy. They put in all of the necessary work and you're seeing the favor because they're able to receive the favor. And the reason why it's not fair is because of all of the work they put in. That wasn't fair either, but nobody wants to talk about that shit. The late nights, the early mornings, the lack of sleep, all of that grind that they put into their shit. Yes, their favor is not supposed to be fair. Because they did all of their necessary shit. Now, if you try to duplicate what they've done, you're going to fail. You feel what I'm saying? Because it's levels to the shit. It's other shit that they had to put in. It's other shit that they had to go in. It was their fucking part. Are you putting in your part before you surrendering? No. Not if you bitching and complaining. Because that's where it unfolds to you either lose or you learn. No, not lose. You either win or you learn. There is no loss. There is no loss when you're doing what's necessary because it's like, bam, I surrendered. It didn't work in my favor. It wasn't time to surrender yet. Let me run that back. I surrendered. It didn't work in my favor because it wasn't time to surrender yet. So now let me go back to the drawing board and see what I missed. The phrase is, you don't know what you don't know until you know it. No, it's not that. It's you don't know what you don't know until you know that you don't know it. Or some shit like that. But you have to be exposed to the shit that you don't know. Oh, I got to learn that too? Damn, I got to learn that too? Shit. Makes me think of Bruce Lee's quote where he said, when I first started martial arts, a kick was just a kick. That's where a lot of us are. This is why we think we could just surrender without putting in work. Then he was like, but when I mastered it, when I started studying it, I was like, yo, a kick became so much more than a kick. You mean there's a whole muscle squad involved in this shit? You feel me? Not only that, there's different segments of it. I got foot muscles, I have leg muscles, I have thigh muscles. Oh shit, the leg and the thigh are two different things. And I've been making the leg the whole thing from the hip down. Oh, wow. I got extenders, I got flexors in it. I got nerves, arteries, and they diverge. The fuck? I got a kneecap, synovial fluid. I got all this shit that goes into a fucking kick. And then I learned all that shit. It's just a kick. That's the point you need to get into before you're able to surrender. When you start off as a kick, it's just a kick. And it becomes so much more than a kick, then it comes back down. It's just a kick. That's when you're able to surrender. But until you're at that point, guess what's going to happen every time you surrender? Bing, we're sending you right back. You need more work. Now we're going to align you with certain shit to give you the necessary things to say, now we can work. Now we can do our part. Now you surrender and let us do our thing. You dig what I'm saying? But until that point, you're just giving up and you're surrendering under a defeated mentality. You're already defeated. So what do you get back? Losses. Now, when you get back these losses, do you learn or do you redirect your path? Because it just ain't for me. It just ain't for me. No, whatever you want to be for you will be for you if you make it yours. All right. Look. The markets are not a difficult place to understand. All right. You just have to know what you're looking at. And there's 5 things that you need to see before you can make any market entry. First, you need a pocket so you can know which direction the market is going in. Second, you need a pullback so you can get the better price. Third, you need a battlefield so you can see when that market movement is slowing down. Fourth, you need the upper hand so you can see when the market reactivates. And last, you need a final push so you can see the exact moment when it's time to go with the direction you are already moving in. Okay? Of course, there's so much more that has to go into that, and it's not as cut and dry as that. But those are things that I teach in my Mastering the Market course. So if you would like to learn more, please visit IamJustSing.com and check out the Mastering the Market course today. Although it is directed and specialized for Forex, all of the skills, I crafted them to be transferable to any market that you're looking at. So again, visit IamJustSing.com and check out the Mastering the Market course today if you are truly looking to master the market. Oh yeah, and don't forget, while I still got you, you can use promo code QUARANTINE to save over 90% off of the enrollment of the full price of the course. That is QUARANTINE, QUARANTEEN. Like there's not one defined thing that we're given that's ours. Even if we look at our gift, the gift that we're given, whether it's one or abundantly, like however many gifts you have, your gift can be used to create whatever the fuck you want to do. That's the power of the essence. You feel what I'm saying? Like that's the power of the essence. You don't just say, okay, because this is my gift, I got to stay here. I use a perfect example because now I'm walking in my gift. I've learned to see it. There's ways I had to learn it. I got a podcast about talent, skills, and gifts on how to get back to your gift to figure out what it is. You feel what I'm saying? But my gift, one of my gifts is I have the gift of thought. It's like, I get it. People think, thinking is different. The gift of thought is something different. I have the ability to think. I have the gift to think. I have the gift of thought. That means I've learned that in that gift of thought, whatever it is that requires my mind, I can break that shit down to its finest component, rebuild it. And it's like everything that I create has to be fueled through my gift, which is the gift of thought. Some people have the gift of athleticism. Look at LeBron James, but everything that his vein isn't just athleticism. He literally can do everything as an extension of him using his gift. You dig what I mean? Like that's how it has to be. But the point that I was making with that was like, when I grew up, everybody recognized, as a baby, as a kid, everybody recognized my gift of thought. So what did they tell me? You have to go to school. You have to get a good education. You have to go to college. And like, that's what they told me what my gift was for. But it atrophied, because when I go through school and I don't try, I don't have to. I go to academia, I go to these higher levels, and it's like, I don't try. Like my bachelor's degree, I didn't like it. I mean, I went to go major in forensic biology. I went for that shit. I graduated with honors, but I didn't try. And people don't get it. People don't understand my plight with it. You know what I mean? They're like, yo, you still graduated with honors and you never studied? I said, I ain't studied really to the last semester. And that really wasn't studying. It was just making sure I had all of my shit on point for my final presentation, because we had to do a DNA analysis scene where we had to break down a crime scene, do the full analysis. It took a whole year to do the shit. So we had to break down that whole crime scene, analyze the DNA, run a genetic analysis, all that shit. And I was like, that's when I actually put in work. It's like, yo, you never studied. Nah. Like when we be having study sessions, they be like, how do you know? When did you have time to do this? I don't have time to do it. I don't study. The fuck? I don't study. Like, I just learn it the first time it's given, because I have the ability to make these connections, because that's my gift. But the reason why that was my plight, because I didn't try. A lot of us have that where our gift is so prevalent, we don't try at it. So we don't put in that work. But then when I got to the point where I was like, oh, this is my gift. This is my gift. Now let me fuel it. And now let me start doing what's necessary before I can surrender. And I got to use my gift to do that shit. You feel what I'm saying? But because of that, we feel like, you know, we allow, when people see our gift, we allow them to dictate what it's supposed to be, what we're supposed to do with it. Another one of my gifts is I'm a healer. So everybody, you'll be a doctor. Okay, I'll do it. The shit was like, okay, I get there, and then I see another side of that shit. And I was like, okay, y'all fucked up and y'all trying to kill my people. I can't be a willing participant of that shit anymore. You feel what I mean? But the healing aspect never changed. That was a gift of mine. And now I knew how to broaden that out. And now I know how to do what's necessary to make this gift a reality. So now when I ask the universe, you know, hey, look, speaking of ask, I don't ask the universe for anything. I command the universe. I know this is about to get real crazy, because a lot of people, we say we have to ask the universe for things. We're like, yo, I'm praying, I'm asking to this. And we wonder why shit doesn't happen, because you don't ask the universe. You command it. I'm going to let you sit with that for a little bit. I'm going to sip my tea a little bit, but I'm going to let you sit with that part, because commanding seems so disrespectful. Yo, you really sit and you say, hey, look, no, I don't tell them to do shit. I command them. But see, we have to understand what command really means, right? Best example is the Apple computer or the Mac, whatever the fuck it is. I don't have one, but I understand the functions on it. They have a command button on it, right? You hit that button and then you press another button and then something happens. You know why? Because the command button sends a set of instructions. That's what command means. This is why I said it's important that you put in your part and you do what's necessary, because you cannot command the universe to do something they do not have the right instructions. And they will do what the instructions have been given. That's why I'm saying you cannot do all that you can. You have to do all that is necessary if you want the right manifestation. Because when you command the universe to do something, they're going to do it with the instructions that you've given it. And if the instructions that you have given it are rooted in a loss, are rooted in confusion, are rooted in the fact that you don't understand what the fuck you're doing, you say, I surrender. Okay. These are the instructions you give us and you want us to use. Okay. Now this is whether it's God, Allah, Jesus, Jehovah, Yeshua, whoever. They're gonna create your manifestation based off of your command. Now, there's other things going into it too. You still want to give your offering. You still want to give your, because it's like this. The best employee, he does what he's commanded. She does what she's commanded. But the boss or the person who does the command, the employee will only work for them to that capacity, because they are compensated, they are respected, they are appreciated. Trust me, like I make sure my guides and my ancestors, and I make sure I look out for them. I make sure I pay my libations, but when I give the command, they do it. Now, this is not on no snap of the fingers type shit. Like, okay, I do this, y'all go do it now. Then it's like 24 hours. Hold on, let me change that. Sometimes that manifestation is just that fast. You feel me? But you know why it's that fast? Because I've done all that's necessary for that quick turnaround. Sometimes I've only done what's necessary for it to happen in 6-7 months. Sometimes I've done what was necessary for it to happen in a week. You dig what I'm saying? But I had to learn that, okay, before I can give you any kind of instructions, I need to write the instructions out. That's your part. That's what doing what's necessary is. You can't surrender until you've done what's necessary. You feel me? Back to the job metaphor. You feel what I mean? Your boss, when they give you these set of instructions to do, they don't fuck with you no more. Like when you're that employee that puts in the work, they say, hey, look, I need you to do this. They don't second guess it. They don't question it. They don't come back or anything and say, you know what, you fucked up. Are you sure this is what you want me to do? They don't say that. They just say, here, I need you to do this for me. Because they know it's going to get done. You know why? Because the instructions are fucking clear. The command is set. You feel me? The command is set. They'll give you your raise. You feel what I mean? They'll give you your promotion when you ask for it. They'll give you all these things. So they know when I command you to do this, when I give you the set instructions to do this particular task, I walk away from the shit. And the managers really walk away from it. Those employees, they're like, yo, and you have us, you know, when we're in those positions, we be like, man, my boss don't appreciate me. They don't do this. They don't like, yo, that may be, but they've given you the equal compensation. Like this came to me when I was moving up the ranks in the last company I was working with. It's like, I started off as like, quote unquote, grass level. I was just a basic valet attendant. You feel what I'm saying? Basic valet attendant. I said, fuck that. I need more money, bro. I need to get this shit popping. Like, I can't play with this. So when I got moved up because I started to, yo, let me talk to this manager real quick. Hey, bro, what do you need to have taken off of you? Show me how to do it. Bam. When he would show me how to do the shit. I would show him that I know how to do it fluently. He would lead me to my devices and let me do my shit. And then it'll be like, yo, I'm getting the task. He'll be like, yo, I need you to do the review the revenue spreadsheet for me. All right, cool. And then that's it. He don't talk to me no more after that. He just, you know what I mean? I was doing this shit when I wasn't supposed to be doing it. So when it came time for me to actually start getting promoted, like this shit happened fast. Like I was one of the fastest people to be promoted in that position. I remember I started in, and this is not a bragging moment. This is not a bragging moment, but this is to show the power of surrendering and at the same time putting in what's necessary and then commanding for the shit to happen. You feel what I mean? I had done everything that I needed to do. And so I was like, okay, when I asked for this raise, they got to give it to me. Every time I was like, yo, I need a new raise. Bam, they gave me one. He was like, yo, you're doing it. I can't deny you that shit. And this shit was happening quick. So I started in like a March of 2016. By April of that next year, I had been moved up to management. Locked in salary. I said, this is what I was going to do. I said, I got to put in the necessary work to do that. I didn't do what I could. I did what was necessary. You feel me? Now, that goes into the work ethic part. That goes into all of that shit because there was times I was working doubles. I was working triples. I was putting in like, you feel me? I was doing a lot. So people was like, yo, I don't see how you do it. I do. I got a different energy. I got a different vibe because I know that I have to put in what's necessary to get what I want. You know, by the time I had left there, it only took me 1.5 years to move up. And I was there for 2 years before I was able to shift, out of my entrepreneur ventures into their own thing. You feel what I mean? So I commanded the ancestors, I commanded my guides to look out for me. And they said, all right, this is what you're going to have to do. If you want it this fast, if you want it at this particular time, this is what's necessary for you. We want shit on our time, but we don't want to put in their work. We don't want to give them the instructions they need to make that shit happen. Because the instructions that they need, it costs a lot. Like you can't just ask, I want to be this and that. And you wonder why your shit's taking so long to happen. Because you're not commanding them right. And you're not commanding them right because you're not putting in the necessary work for yourself. You can't surrender. Otherwise, you're going to surrender to a defeat. You're going to surrender to a loss. That's why we lose so much. And then we feel like something isn't for us because now it goes back to childhood. Like I said, I know for a fact this shit was really started in my my generation. I remember when we started getting honorable mention awards. I said, that's some bullshit. I don't want a fucking honorable mention. Yeah, everybody's a winner. Everybody's not a fucking winner. That's the fucked up part about life. You feel me? And that's a fucked up mentality to have. And I get passionate about that because I see so many kids give up on their dreams because they didn't win the first time. Because the parents told them, you can be anything you want to be. Yes, you can, but you have to put in the fucking work. And the first sign of trouble is, oh, this ain't for me. Well, what's for you is for you. You won't have to. No, yes, you will have to put in the work if you want to win. Champions don't just skate through the game. They beat everybody ass in the game. They turn the fuck up when it's time to turn the fuck up. That's a winner. That's a champion. That's what it is to do what's necessary. So when it's all said and done, when you ask, hey, yo, I need you to do this for me. Cool. One of the best examples is when we look at clutch players in the NBA. We always say it. When you're down 3 seconds and you got 2 points and who are you giving the ball to? Who are you giving the ball to? You feel me? You're giving to the person who you know has put all of the necessary work in to make this motherfucking shot. Whether they make it or not, that's irrelevant. You're trusting them to do it. That's power because they've done what was necessary. You feel what I'm saying? Kobe Bryant, LeBron James, Michael Jordan, they're the clutch players, but it's like in crunch time. When it's all said and done, no matter how much you hate them or anything like that, no matter what you feel about whatever, in those final seconds, you know who to get the ball to. In those final seconds, the other team knows who to fuck to guard because they know this motherfucker has put in the necessary work time and time and time again to hit this motherfucking shot. And the odds of this motherfucker hitting it in crunch time, you know what? I got to let it go. I got to stop this motherfucker. Because the necessary work has already been put in. The necessary work has already been there for the command to happen. You feel what I'm saying? For the instructions to be given. So the team is running around, they set the picks and they do whatever they feed it to them. Boom. And at that point, everybody knows. In those final moments, everybody knows who it's going to because the necessary work has already been put in countless times. You feel me? That's why if you watch, the energy of this shit is so powerful, just in this one metaphor. It's 3 seconds in the game. You know, let's say the Lakers are down 2. We're going to use LeBron now. I'm not going to stick on too many, Lakers are down 2. And they're going to feed it to LeBron, right? And everybody knows they're going to feed it to LeBron. What happens as soon as that ball is released from his hands? Everybody stands up. Everybody stands up in anticipation. And as soon as they hear that, when they hear that swish, everybody goes crazy. You know why? Because the opportunity meant preparation. The opportunity met the preparation. Victory loves preparation. I always remember that shit. Victory loves preparation. And when you prepared for the victory and you surrendered from that perspective, you're going to win. You're going to win. But that goes back to the point that I was talking about. Like our children, they're not taught to be winners anymore. They're not taught how to be winners. They're told they're winners. And they ain't never won shit. You feel me? They never won shit. Oh, it just ain't for me. I remember the first time I tried out for the basketball team, I ain't make it. You feel me? But I said, fuck that. I'm not giving up. I'm going to go try it. I ain't make it the next year either. But you feel me? At that point, I was like, yo, fuck it. I'm not a basketball player. You feel me? I'm tall, but I'm not like they told me, oh, you're tall. You can play. So that summer, it was like the 6th grade because you only play 7th to 8th. So that summer, I just tried. I didn't even put in any work whatsoever. And I went to go try out for the team. That was my fault. I had not been playing basketball years prior to that. I wasn't in the smaller leagues. I wasn't playing rec ball. I was just playing ball with my homies when we would pick up. We would play 21 most of the times. You can't make the team playing 21. But after that, shit hurt my feelings. I lost. I was like, but you know what? I'm going to try again. But this time, I'm going to get with somebody who knows how to play ball. I'm going to learn the ropes. You feel me? So I started to learn it. I started to learn how to play ball. Then I learned how to play ball. I didn't make the team because the people that made it, they had already been playing. They had already, I wasn't going to catch up to their level in a year. You feel me? Probably could have. You never know if I would have put in the work. But after that, I was like, all right, that's not it. But I learned the fundamentals. I learned that part. I learned what was necessary. You feel what I mean? And that's the point that I'm making. We've gotten so used to being told we're a winner. Everybody's a winner. You can do it. No, you can't. And everybody's not a winner. The winner is the person who overcomes the loss. The winner is the person who does what's necessary not to win, not to lose again the next time. Winning is not winning. Winning is learning how not to lose. If you can master that shit, you'll see why it's so important to do what's necessary, not do what you can. You feel what I mean? That's where champions are built. You know? And that's when you're able to surrender to shit. When you've done what was necessary. You dig what I'm saying? What was the movie 6 Man with Marlon Wayans and I want to say Kadeem Hardison? Or the guy that looked like Kadeem Hardison. Whatever. I know Marlon was in it. And his brother died or whatnot. But what he was doing, like he would come in and he would, every shot he would put it in for him. And like it was like the ball was doing crazy stuff. But in the final moments, you know, Marlon had done all of his preparation. He had played. He said, I got to hit this game winning shot. And as soon as he shot it, right, he knew that he had done everything necessary. He didn't do what he could to make the shot. He did everything that was necessary. He didn't do all that he can. He did all that was necessary for his preparation to get this shot in. And when he shot it, he was so confident in his shot that when he seen his brother going in, the ghost or whatnot, trying to put it, he was like, Anton, no. And when he said that, his brother didn't touch it. And the shot went in. Do you know why? Because he had that's what it's like to have faith in shit. But he had the preparation, the necessary preparation to surrender to the fact that, okay, I'm releasing this shot. I ain't got to worry about nothing else. And I'm going to watch this bitch fall. And then it falls. That's what it's like. That's what surrendering is. You surrender to allow the universe to do everything for you after you've done what was necessary. The shit that you can't see on the backside. You feel what I'm saying? But in that, those things that you can't see on the backside are the things that are lessons that are given to strengthen you. You feel what I'm saying? So back to the commanding point. Yes, you command your ancestors. Yes, you command the angels. Yes, you command your, like, that's hard to really deal with when you're told that you can't tell something what to do. You feel me? You cannot tell the source what to do. You cannot tell your creator what to do. Yes, you can. But it's not in the sense of I'm telling you, I'm commanding you in the fact that I'm giving you instructions. I'm giving you well thought out, detailed, oriented instructions and say, this is what I need you to do for me. And you have compensated them accordingly. Back to the employee metaphor. You feel what I'm saying? That employee is like, yo, I said this shit. Yo, you don't pay me enough to do that shit. How many of us have said that shit? You don't think your gods have said the same shit? You want me to do what? With what? You don't pay me enough for this shit. You feel me? Because now on their side, I have to pull out of my ass to create some shit and add to the shit that you didn't even put in yet. Because you did what you can. You didn't do what was necessary. So when you do what's necessary and you give me the instructions, it's clear and concise. There's no gaps for it. There's no gaps for the guys to put in. It's like, oh, this what you want us to do? Okay, cool. Give me 2 shots of rum. You feel what I'm saying? I want a little bit of tobacco sprinkled in and shit. You know what I'm saying? Light me a good candle. I got you. You know, after that shit burns out, you know what I mean? I'm telling y'all too much. Pour your libation. And then, you know what I mean? Let your manifestation happen. You feel what I'm saying? But it's based off of you putting in what's necessary. You dig what I'm saying? So you don't have to ask anything. You feel me? You command it. Not demand. See, that's another point. Command and demand are 2 different things. You feel me? If I'm demanding something, that's not instructions. That's telling a motherfucker what to do. I demand that you do this, you know? Best metaphor that I could think of is like when you walk into a room and all eyes turn on you, just because you walked in the motherfucker, you command the room. You don't have to say shit, but you've given the entire room instructions to look at you. When you're demanding attention, you have to go in and be flashy. You have to be seen. You have to be heard. Like people, you know, one of the biggest things that I live by, I tell people this all the time. I don't give a fuck if they call me arrogant for the shit because I don't care because I know where I stand with the shit. I said, you're seen. I'm felt. That's why my presence is never necessary. I don't have to physically be in a place to be felt for motherfuckers to know that I'm there. You feel me? But that's an extension of doing what's necessary. I command rooms. I command audiences. It's a part of my gift, but at the same time, I've done what was necessary to be able to receive that. When I speak, people listen because I put in the necessary work to have a message that's listenable. Although, that's not a word, but fuck with me. You know what I mean? Sometimes we got to put a break in the seriousness and get a little chuckle, a little razzle dazzle and shit. You feel me? But that's where I'm coming from with that. Our ancestors operate the same way. You command them. You command them. Our angels, our guides, everything, our deities that we serve, we command them. They put us here to complete a mission that we have to get the setup for, and we have to command them to do the rest. But we got to give them the right instructions. You feel what I'm saying? If you on a computer and you hit command and then you hit the wrong button, you gave the wrong instructions. So what do you have to do? You have to backspace. You have to edit. You have to, you know what I mean? What the biggest thing when I was in computer class, we learned WYSIWYG. What you see is what you get. Is that what you gave them? Is that what you put in to get out of them? Yeah, that is what you put in to get out of them. And that's what they gave you. You lost. You had a defeat, because it's like, okay, I'm going to show you that, and some of them will look at the instruction and be like, you need to go back to the drawing board with this shit. And if your arrogance says, I don't need to go back to the drawing board, just do it. Okay. They're going to just do it. Then you're going to start to see losses and they're going to say, see, you need to go back and tighten this shit up. This is me from experience. My entire entrepreneurship, a lot of it was like that because you don't know what you don't know. You feel me? I say, look, I want this to happen. Boom, boom. You get the beginner's luck shit out of the way. The beginner's luck is a way to show you that you're on the right path. But then when you start getting that intermediate fail, after beginner's luck, you're like, what the fuck happened? All right, you need to go back and tighten this up. I wanted you to see that you're on the right path. You had to see that you're going in the right direction. But do not assume that this is not for you because there's other shit that you don't have access to right now that we need you to give us to command accordingly. You feel me? Then you can surrender to the process. Then you can go to that 3-point line 3 seconds in and let the shot go and turn around. You feel me? Steph Curry good for the shit. I'm using basketball metaphors because it's easier to understand. Steph Curry's good for the shit. He'll let the shot up and then he'll turn around. That's deeper than faith. That's putting in the necessary work. And now I command. You feel me? That's what it is. I just commanded this ball to go into the net and it went. You feel me? Sometimes it's not always esoterical and mystical and shit and on the other side. Sometimes it's very, very simple. This is the command. And it's going to do it. Why? Because I've done everything that's necessary to be a perfect 3-point shooter. Ray Allen is another one. When they did the sports science on Ray Allen, they said his shot is what is it? It's like a 2-degree standard deviation between the change and the way he releases every time. Damn. You's a perfect shooter. You feel what I'm saying? And it's like once he releases the ball, it's like, okay, we know what's going in. Damn. You feel me? You don't even question it. You feel me? Because all that was necessary is done to command the reality. Once you let it go, you can surrender. And you don't know. See, that's the thing. Because we've associated surrender to defeat, we associated surrender to loss, that we have to assume that when we surrender, it's going to work against us. I know a lot of people like that. You know what I mean? They were like, well, hopefully it turns out. No. And then that goes back to optimism. I'm not a wishful thinker. I'm very optimistic because I know this shit is going to work. How do you know? Never say never. No, I can say never in this shit. For real. Because I put in the work to erase the never. That's a reality, whether you know it or not. Never say never is based off of you not doing what's necessary. Now, will the hiccup still happen? Yes. I'm not saying that shit isn't going to happen. But the depth as to what happens after, no. You can literally say never if you put in the work to erase a never. That's a different point. Motherfuckers, we be saying never and then continue on the same path. It's going to happen. That makes it more probable. Now you know that it exists and you never even decided to make the change to make sure it never happens. You feel what I'm saying? And now you commanding the ancestors, you commanding these energies to work in your favor. They're going to work according to your instruction, to what you can command them to do based off of your part. Did you do all that you can or all that was necessary? It's going to be a lot of work. Nobody wants to put in that work because everybody expects to be a motherfucking winner. Everybody's a winner. We're all winners. No, we're not. We're not. The winner is the motherfucker who can overcome the loss. The winner is the motherfucker who knows how to stop losing. A lot of us don't know how to stop losing, but we expect to win. What you commanding the ancestors for? What are you asking them for? That's why I'm like, when I've learned certain, like, you have to get to the mental space to understand what I'm talking about. When I say I command them, I don't request, I don't ask, I command. I don't demand, I command. I give the set instructions. I put in all of the work that I need to. And when what I do ask for is clarity. Did I do everything? Not yet. Go back to this. Check this out. Here, we're going to send you this. This is going to cross your path 3 or 4 times. Act on it. All right, bam, you act on it. Boom, boom, boom. Oh, shit, I did not have that part in there. Okay, cool. Bam, bam, bam. Readjust. What about now? You're closer. But think about what else you need. I don't know. Damn, this right here crossing my path. Oh, shit, that's not an accident. That's not coincidence. Bam, let me incorporate that. Bam, bam, bam. Oh, shit, you're almost there. You at 95%. Can we do it with 95%? Probably so. But you want 100, right? Yeah, I want 100% manifestation. All right, cool. Add this piece to it. Where's the piece? You'll see when it's time. That piece comes, you get the shit, and now you put it in 100%. They're like, okay, now what do you need us to do? I need you to do this, that, and the third. Bam. Okay, cool. Get my 2 shots of rum, a little bit of tobacco and shit. You know the rest. Ashe. It is so. Bam. Then the shit starts flooding. It starts happening, then the gates open. You like, oh, that's what it is. You do what's necessary. Then you command. You send the instructions, and then you surrender. And don't forget to take a moment to go get your exclusive merchandise from Just Scenes merch. At Just Scenes, each piece is specifically crafted with positive imagery and symbolism. From the titles and designs to the descriptions, each style gives you something to feel great about. With everything from hoodies and tees to coffee mugs and tote bags, we have something for the entire family. So be sure to get yours today. Find us on Instagram at Just Scenes merch and get your merchandise right now. All right, so with that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and tie it down a little bit. I know these things be going different. I'm telling you, I ain't got no control over what really flows, when it flows. I surrender. Oh, that's perfect for this. But I do all of the shit that's necessary. I obtain all of the experience, all of the knowledge, all of the information, all of the different things. So I just let this shit go. I surrender to the conversation. Let the shit happen. You feel me? This is why I was saying a couple episodes back when I had those glitches, I was like, damn, I can't re-record them because I surrendered and let the shit happen. You feel me? That's what happens, but you got to do all that's necessary for these particular things to manifest themselves. Ask yourself, when you call yourself surrendering, are you surrendering to a defeat? Are you surrendering with a defeated mindset? Are you surrendering under the premise, I've done all that I can, I just can't do anymore. I give up. I surrender. Y'all take it. I've had a moment like that where I thought I was surrendering, but I was really quitting. I was quitting. I never forget it. I hate quitting. The reason why I hate quitting so much is because when I quit, I admit to myself that I'm not willing to do what's necessary. This is a personal thing. I'm not saying everybody has to have this drive or this mentality. This is just something I've been built. It's been wired in me. I've had people say, yo, you're too hard on yourself. It's not that. I can't quit. Quitting is not good for me. It's not good for my mental health. You know, it'd be crazy because like I got homegirls and shit. They look out. See, that's why I love black women so much. Like I got a lot of platonic black women friends in my life. But one thing they always say, and I know it's because they don't truly know the essence of me and why, and I don't tell them why I do this shit sometimes, but it's like, yo, you need to take a break. Like, you need to have some self-care. For me, self-care is actually getting shit done. Like, and it'd be crazy because they're like, yo, this is literally overwhelming you, but I have to figure it out. Like, y'all don't get that shit. It's going to plague me more if I'm not working on it. I have to figure out whatever it is. It's just me. You feel what I'm saying? But that's how, you know what I mean? That's how that plays out. You know, we quit under the guise that we're surrendering. Like we call it surrendering when we really quit. Because we quit without the necessary steps to say, you know, like never over the last few years, I failed at a lot of shit. I know it shocks people because they're like, well, how do you? Because I don't quit. And I realize that I can't surrender to the shit until I have everything done. That's what surrendering is. When I have everything done necessary for me to succeed in the shit, then I surrender and say, you can have at it. But I know innately within me, I know deep down to my core, if I've done everything necessary or not. My intuition is that strong, it's that powerful, where I come in and I say, you know what? I know that. And I know when I'm just wishful thinking. The universe is going to work it out. And you're like, we're going to work out these instructions. The fuck? You got me fucked up. Like, you know, I'm only going to do what you've instructed me to do. That's what, when we surrender to the universe, we're telling it to do what we instructed to do. What are our instructions? Are they clear? Can you even understand your instructions sometimes? You know, I've had women who would call me a robot before. They were like, yo, you're too structured. You're too detailed. You're damn right. Because I want shit to happen exactly the way I want it to fucking happen. I can't be vague. Now, granted, I'm on some shit like also too, you can't lock it down too much because that doesn't give the universe any room to work. You still got to give that little bit of room. But at the same time, it's like you got to eliminate a lot of space. You feel me? And you got to eliminate, you got to take up a lot of space before you can do that. You feel what I'm saying? Because the universe has to have those instructions in order for you and your manifestation to come to life. You can't surrender until that point. Otherwise you quit. When you're facing obstacles, when you're facing challenges, when you're facing rough patches in life, and you're at the point where I've done all that I can, ask yourself if you've done all that's necessary. I promise you, I can guarantee you, more shit will come to you. More shit will come to you to put the pieces in. If you're always asking, or you're always saying, I've done all that I can, you're defeated. You're in a defeated state of energy. Just because you say the word can, just because you say, you know, you try to be positive about it, you know, like when they say, if it ain't, it just wasn't for me. It was for you. You quit. You quit too early. And you didn't put in everything that was necessary. When the universe told you, no, not yet. The reason why people be like, you know, I see it all the time. Well, when one door closes, it's not a no, it's a not yet. Because you did not do what was necessary to walk through the fucking door. You don't know that there's a shotgun tied to the door. So when you push this bitch open, you got to turn to the side and let the shotgun, the slug fly through and then walk through the door. You don't know what's necessary. So you open the bitch and you get shot the fuck back. Because you didn't do what was necessary. You did what you could. It's dangerous when you just do what you could and you expect the universe to do whatever. It's not designed that way. Surrendering is about giving, is about letting go when you've done all that's necessary. All that is required. You have all of this. It's no different than a test. It's no different than an exam. None of that shit. When you've gone over the rubric of the course and you've done, like when I was in undergrad, soon as they gave us the syllabus, I broke that shit down week by week. Every week I needed to have these particular modules mastered. And you know what I'm saying? So maybe that's why I didn't study. I didn't have to. By the time the test came, I was like, all right, I've done everything that's necessary. I don't have to ask a shit. Like I would do shit like, yo, I would command the answers like, yo, give me an easy test. Like but see, at the time, I was heavily religious. So of course I was praying and all the things like that. But I was like, yo, give me an easy test. I do not want to struggle anything. The test was never easy. I was prepared. Like, that's the thing about surrendering in life. Life is never easy. You're just prepared for the shit. And you don't acknowledge how much preparation you really have sometimes. Take some time to do that shit too. If something was easy for you, like, yo, this shit was easy. Give thanks that you were prepared for it, because it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy. Because I would leave out of the test and motherfuckers would be like, oh my gosh, I couldn't even finish. This question was this. They'd be like, I said, well, I feel like this. Or they'd be asked, like everybody be coming to a consensus about a question. And they'd be like, well, I put this and I put that. And I'll come into the circle, I'll be like, I put this. And they like, well, I don't know, because I remember this. I'm like, I'm not thinking anymore about it. Like, that's it. That's what I put, because, you feel me? This is what I commanded, because this is what I prepared for. I did what was necessary to make sure I chose that right answer. You feel me? Nothing in life has ever been easy for me. I was just prepared for it. Nothing in life has ever been easy for you. You were prepared. Acknowledge and embrace your preparedness for shit. You feel what I'm saying? But at the same time, in that, when shit is hard, start to acknowledge there may be things you weren't prepared for. And that's a reality. Anybody who's like, yo, I have a hard life. You weren't prepared for this life. And certain times you can't get prepared for certain shit. I can't prepare for being raised without a father. Fuck, I can't, like, what the fuck? How was I supposed to prepare for that shit? You feel what I'm saying? It's certain shit like, we can't prepare for having fucked up upbringings. We can't prepare for that shit. But at the same time, we can do what's necessary for the future. And sometimes it's not having that preparation that makes us lead to the preparation for the future. You feel what I'm saying? Me growing up without a father and having to go through the process of becoming a man by myself. When I have sons, if I have sons, when I have daughters, if I have daughters, I have a template. I have a standard that is like, I prepared for this shit. Will parenting and shit still be? I'm not saying this shit's going to be easy, because along the way, I'm still going to be preparing. Along the way, I still have to prepare. I have to do what's necessary in order for the universe, for me to command, look, bruh, look, I need some help. I got you 2 shots, bro. Fuck with me. I'm going to pour some water out. You feel me? Go to the base of a tree. I'm telling y'all too much, man. Damn, I got to stop doing that shit. You know what I mean? But that's what I want people to take from surrendering today. Surrendering is deeper than just giving up. You don't quit. You don't quit. If something becomes too difficult, it becomes too challenging, it brings you to your knees, it makes you cry. I've had moments like that. I had moments where I felt like, but the only thing I couldn't quit. I can't quit. I'm like, what is this teaching me? Even with clenched teeth like that shit, I still say, yo, what the fuck are you trying to show me? What are you teaching me? I need you to show me. They will show me. You know what I'm saying? Surrendering is not giving up. Surrendering is never giving up. As cliche as it's become. But when surrendering to the universe. You surrender to the universe because you're now giving it the ability to work in your favor based off of the instructions that you give. You have to give clear, concise instructions to the universe. Not on no simple shit. Not on no basic shit. You feel me? I've learned that everything that I've ever said that I wanted, trials and tribulations occurred to get me to that point to know it. I haven't reached this point yet, so don't say that. Don't think this. But I remember when I first released So Frail, I told myself, I shouldn't have said this shit to myself. But I told myself, I'm going to sell 100,000. Like, it was 2016. I released it in like October. Wait, what was it? September, the first one. And then the physical book came out in November. Yeah, so November 2016, I released So Frail 1. I told myself, I want to sell 100,000 copies of So Frail by October of 2017. No, I'm wrong. My dates are off. I did release it in 2016. Yeah, I'm right then. By 2017, I said I want to sell 100,000 copies. Why the fuck did I say that shit? You say, okay, you can sell them. You can get 100,000 copies in. Here's what the fuck you gotta do. I ain't do the shit. I ain't sell my 100,000 copies either. I ain't do the shit because I didn't do what was necessary, because at the same time, what it took to get to that point, I could not put in that work. So you got to be careful when you command. And when you start saying this is what you want to happen, they're like, yo, we need you to do your part, and you're going to do your part. So don't fall out of the race and say, oh, it just wasn't for me because your part may be too difficult. Did you set too stringent of rules for them to follow? You feel what I mean? Did you set too stringent of rules for them to follow? I used the example, like when I worked in a valet service, I was, moving up in ranks. One of the supervisors, he trusted me so well, right? The manager was like, yo, I can leave you there to start the shift because I know that you can run it. This goofy motherfucker here, he said, like, we had a major event. The shit started at 8. You feel me? I got in at 7. What the fuck time you think cars are going to start coming in? And you just got me and an overnight guy. He tired. I can't expect him to help me out like that. I made sure I got to work at like 6:30 every day. So the 7 o'clock guy can leave at 7. I don't want you here till like 8:39. He dipped. It's just me. My next help wasn't coming in till 9. We had like 150 cars come in this motherfucker. Right? I'm by myself. And this is the point I'm speaking on from the opposite side of the universe. I was commanded. I was given instructions to, park the cars and make sure everything is straight. One man cannot park 100 cars. You feel me? So I called the motherfucker, right? This shit pissed me off too, and it makes me laugh. I called the motherfucker like, yo, he's like, this motherfucker answered the phone like, yo, top of the morning to you. I said, man, yo, you was supposed to be here 3 hours ago, and I hung up on him. It wasn't 3 hours, but I was just being dramatic and shit, right? So he's calling the other sites because we need help. I'm like, bruh, I'm moving as fast as I can. People getting mad. I gotta be here. I'm like, look, I'm one person. Just, you know what I mean? So I'm like that, right? So I finally get some help and shit. And the stress, the overwhelm of all of that, I backed up and I hit a car. We had to fucked up 2 cars because I backed one car into another one. So I was like, all right. So then my manager was like, look, take a break. You good? Take a break. So the point that I was saying with that was that the command was there. You didn't supply me with all that was necessary for me to be successful with the shit. So he's like, oh man, now we got to file a claim. We got to pay this out. Yeah, you could have put more staff on. You feel me? You could have done what was necessary to make this run smoother. You could have gave me you could have gave me more people. You feel what I'm saying? You could have been there. You feel me? You didn't prepare. So, well, I didn't anticipate that these people were going to come this early. The event starts at 8. We're in Philadelphia where everybody's got a fucking park. The fuck you think is going to happen? They got to find parking close. So they're coming to our site to park. Think about that shit. So he didn't do what was necessary. But I did what I could based off of the instructions that I was given. That's how the universe does. You feel what I'm saying? You have to put in you have to do what is necessary of you and then command them. You think you might have commanded turmoil and didn't even know it. You might have commanded extra work. You might have commanded more stressful environment and didn't even know it because you're not 100% in your command. Your instructions are not full. So they work with what they have. You feel me? So this is what I'm telling y'all. I'm about to start wrapping it up here. This is what I'm telling y'all. When you're surrendering, you have to surrender under the premise that your command is based off you doing you're doing all that is necessary versus all that you can. All that you can and all that is necessary are 2 totally different things. Sometimes all that is necessary can exceed beyond what you can do. That's when you start needing help. You need resources. You got to reach out to other people. You know what I'm saying? But you still have to do what's necessary. You feel me? Day trading. Could I have learned that by myself? Probably so. But when I first started and I was fucking up, I was like, yo, let me see who knows how to do this shit. A motherfucker who's already 10 years in. Oh, you're about to save me 10 years. You're about to save me 10 years, buddy. I fucks with you. I'm not putting in 10 years like you did. I respect your 10. But the path that I'm trying to get, oh, you cut your 10 down to 7 weeks. I fucks with you. Let me learn this shit. Let me master this shit. Let me, you know what I mean? Because that was something that I said that I wanted. You feel me? I commanded all of these things for the universe. And they kept putting, it was like, look, if you want to live this life, this is what you have to do. And I'd be damned if I didn't have to do every single thing, every single part. I had to do all that was necessary to say, here, is it done yet? Nope, we need a little bit more. My entrepreneur journey was over 5 years. You feel me? But every time I would ask them, is it ready yet for you? Nope, I need you to tweak this. I need you to do that. Here's this resource. Here's this resource. They will give it to you to give them what's necessary to, you know what I mean? And I know the arrogant part of people will say, well, if they're going to give me, why? Because if they're going to give it to you, that means that they should be able to do it on the other side. That's not the case. Because now your mind has to be able to work to duplicate the process. You feel what I mean? You have to be able to duplicate the process. They can't always do it for you. They can do whatever you command and nothing more, nothing less. You dig what I'm saying? They will do what you command, nothing more, nothing less. You dig what I mean? So all in all, when you're surrendering, make sure that you're not fighting yourself on your own manifestations, and make sure that you're not falling into the illusion of doing all that you can versus all that's necessary. You feel me? So with that being said, I'm going to end it right there. Be sure to follow me on all of my social media outlets, _just_scene _ the Justine Podcast at the Justine Podcast, my merchandise at Justine's Merch. Trying to transition to the plant-based lifestyle, the 90-day vegan course on Instagram. Also, my book, Hitting the Raw, Living the Raw Plant-Based Lifestyle for Life, is available everywhere ebooks are sold. So Frail, a Reality to Black Male Masculinity, So Frail 2, Toxic Femininity, and my trading course, Mastering the Market, a comprehensive guide to Forex trading, is good for all investing in any kind. And I also accept tips, donations, and sponsorships. You can find all of the information in the description of your podcast. Yeah, I don't want to take up too much more of your time. And this one, this message really came to me. I don't know who it's for, but I hope it resonates with you. And when you surrender, I need you to understand that you have to surrender under the guise of giving all that you have, put in all that is necessary and required of you first, and then commanding the guides, the ancestors, the spirits, whoever, to do what they do. Give your offerings and watch how it blooms. I'm not speaking from speculation. I do this shit. And when I haven't done all that's necessary, I don't get any fucking rewards. I get lessons. Go back and study this. Go back and learn this. And if you're in that phase where you're having to keep going back and learn some shit, don't stop and feel, oh, this just ain't for me. Because what for me? No, what's for you, you're going to have to work for. All right. So with that being said, I love y'all. Go kiss your babies. Make sure they eat their vegetables and their fruit. And you go do some push-ups and some chin-ups and run and stay active. I love y'all. Peace, love, knowledge, and freedom. I'm out.